They say some places just feel different, like the land itself holds on to something it won't let go. Out here in the quiet fields of Illinois, there's a farm that's been home to more than crops. The barns are empty now, their doors hanging loose in the wind. The only sounds are the coyotes in the distance and the whisper of something else moving through the trees. Folks talk about strange lights in the sky and shadows that don't belong, and some say there's something big out here, something that isn't supposed to be here. This is Pond Creek Farm, and its story has been waiting a long time to be told.
In this area, we're kind of in the middle of nowhere, out of the way, but there's also a lot of stuff out here. There's a train track to the north of us here that runs east and west back there. It's on the back edge of our property. There's a pipeline that cuts across the property here that runs diagonal to the northeast. There's Pond Creek down there, which of course it runs north and south sort of down through there. And, main roads and everything. I mean, there's power lines, there's a substation over here. There's a lot of stuff like that, but I mean, we're still in the middle of nowhere. It gets really dark at night and things like that. But I've also heard that like things travel on those, the pipeline area. It's mowed off, cleared off. It's not like something would have to go through the thick woods and stuff to travel from one end to the other. It'd be easier to go. And to the east of us, across the main road up there, between it and the other road is just nothing but just jungle kind of, there's 5 or 6 ponds through there, but there's no agriculture, no farming, nothing like that. It's just solid thicket all the way over to the other road. And there's, like I say, several ponds, all kinds of animals, anything that wanted to could live there. I mean, I could live there if I had to. I could survive living over there. So it's just, we got all these other things. I've heard about the travel. I've heard about the different things, but there's also complete nothing out here too. So
I began my research at Pond Creek Farm after one of the owners reached out to me about a possible Bigfoot sighting. At first, I thought it would be a straightforward investigation. Track the area, document the evidence, and maybe catch a glimpse of something unusual. But what started as a search for Sasquatch quickly became something much more. Bryce told me that Bigfoot wasn't the only unusual thing out here. His father and other family members had their own encounters. Strange lights, unexplained sounds echoing through the woods, and shapes moving in the dark that didn't quite fit the description of any known animal. The deeper I looked, the more I realized this may be more than a hotspot for creature sightings. There's an energy here, something that feels like a doorway between worlds. And in southern Illinois, a place long known for its high strangeness, that idea doesn't seem as far-fetched as it may sound.
So right around here last time, Bryce kind of found some things that kind of looked like footprints, and they weren't huge, but I mean, they were interesting. They were kind of washed out though, so couldn't get a ton of detail in them, but they definitely look like footprint. There's definitely a lot of deer coming out here.
So I thought we'd walk this wash where it was been wettest the longest.
Yeah. So there's like a game trail coming out of here that last time we were here, and again kind of looked like a footprint of sorts coming out of it, but I don't know. I don't know if I agree that it was a footprint, but
Right. It was an indentation of some sort.
yeah. I mean, I wouldn't imagine anything's hanging out here in the daytime, but maybe we'll pick up something from the nighttime.
And if they're used to hearing the sound.
Yeah. Well, that's the same thing with the pipeline. Like, so potential pipeline highway for them to walk through, right? Point of least resistance.
Railroad tracks. I mean, I crossed 2 railroad tracks if they're veered off. So, I mean, they go every which direction.
But I do think it's odd that he saw it in the daytime, even though we've talked before that daytime sightings are actually probably more reports of daytime sightings than nighttime, right? Because you could see them. What's your...
Yeah, because I mean, the night times usually it's crossing the road in the headlights. I mean, how many times are you missing it what's on the side of the road and your lights aren't on?
Yeah. Well, and you said before we got here you were doing a little pre-investigation, and you're like, what'd you say? Like the thoughts in your head about the daytime sighting?
Oh yeah, like what makes this area?
Yeah.
Why this area?
But you also said this isn't your typical area, right?
Right. Yeah. There's no major waterway, no rivers or anything to track, like travel corridor.
Not necessarily a woo guy or anything, but like the stuff he's talking about, like he's seeing UFOs out here, anomalous lights. They have all type of anomalous audio out here, you know, like vocalizations and such. Are we going to bring up the portal words? I mean,
what if it's standing right here?
Yeah.
And because we don't understand quantum physics,
interdimensional.
I hate to bring up the interdimensional being part of it.
Yeah, and I do too. I mean,
like people see him 1 minute, they don't see him the next.
The whole concept of high strangeness, I never really got into until more recently, and I wonder if I get into it because it's kind of fascinating and kind of scary. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Science has told us how things are in the world, right?
Yeah.
No one's proved any different, so that's the general theory. So when you come up with something new, because we've been spoon-fed how it should be, now they discover something, oh, wait a minute. Maybe what we thought's not right, but you've got all these scholars that have studied that. That's the general mindset. It's hard to change someone's mind when...
And that's what's funny, like you see those anti-conspiracy theory posts online and people talk about, okay, some guy on his couch knows more than a guy that's been studying it.
Right.
Yes, that's true. On the other hand, I think there's things out there that we don't know.
Right.
Okay, so 2 years ago, I'm bringing my grandpa up here to the farm, and I have my youngest son with me. He was 3 at the time. We were coming down this road, and we go across the creek, and I just happened to glance to the south field, and I see this big black creature. At first I thought person maybe, but I realized it was about 65 to 80 yards back and still looked really big. Wasn't a person at all. And it was at the base of a hill that we have in the field, and it was digging into the field like, I don't know, it was digging really fast is the only way I can really describe it, because that's what caught my attention was the motion of the arm. It was grabbing in and then just throwing back. And I didn't stop because I had my grandpa and my youngest with me, but I saw it. I mean, it was 3-4 second sighting, and I went back the next day and found a footprint, found where I believe it was digging at, and also I believe I found where it came from to get in the field. It looked like it had come from the creek because there was an area where you could tell something had been moving through. And also on top of that, I found a tree break that the branch, it wasn't just broke where it could have been from a storm or anything like that. It was broke down, but also twisted. So that has intention, is what that tells me. And, you know, since then, it's, I've found more tracks. I've heard a whoop. That was just a couple months ago. And there's just been other things found. My dad's found stuff, heard stuff. It's pretty active out here. And that's just the Bigfoot part of it.
As I've mentioned, Bigfoot might not be the only presence on this property. Southern Illinois has a long history of strange lights and silent craft drifting through the night sky. And for Steve, the mystery runs deep. He and his family witnessed a chilling close encounter when he was just a young man.
Back in the 70s, when I was just a kid, my brother, mom, and myself were in a car at night, and we saw this like big shiny thing in the sky, and it seemed to follow us all the way out. And as we pulled in the driveway, it hovered across the road from us for a good while. No sound detected or anything, but it was just a real bright white silver thing, and then there was some red on it too, it seemed like. But that was the first thing, you know, things like that around here. But, you know, I didn't pay a whole lot of attention to things like that earlier on, but, you know, I mean, things, you'd notice things, but you wouldn't really, you know, pay attention. Nobody asked any questions about it back then. I didn't either, so. That thing, it was a cigar-shaped cylinder, you know, and you could see red lights on it on some spots. It was really bright, you know, compared to the night sky for sure. It hovered over the woods across the road from the house, and, you know, it just, no sound, just bright with a white light. It was, yeah, really strange, because, I mean, you know, we thought, yeah, well, 1970, hell, I didn't know what the hell was following us, you know, so we didn't know what it was, but there was something for sure.
Yeah.
So I'm just looking down here, and I was walking along this path, and it's not like real obvious, but like this almost looks like a heel and then almost like toes. Okay, it's not real definitive or anything like that, but I was like, okay, well, if there's one, there's going to be more if it's a real track. And like right here, I see the same thing. And then where was that one we were just looking at? Like,
Yeah, 'cause
I think this one right here, I could see a heel here. I mean, potentially, it's like weird.
Right.
It's not super obvious, but, oh, like right here, here's the first one I saw, I think, where, I mean, if there's a heel, it'd be here, and then,
Right.
like the toe area there. And I'm like, well, you can't just have one footprint. And then, okay, maybe I'm crazy. And then I saw some other indents.
I mean, this isn't mashed down, but that's mashed down.
Right, I mean, it's not like the internet where you see a perfect footprint.
Right.
It's going to be an indent. Well, look at this. So there's, and you know, I can almost see something right there, like the right foot.
Right.
And then that would be the left foot. But I mean, it's not like super obvious or anything.
Right, because this is more just like an oval. It's not even really a foot shape. It's just odd that it's...
You're right. Along this, where I'm like, is there a track line here? Like, I mean,
roughly 15, if it is something.
If it is something, it's just weird that it's kind of another one. Going the way we're going. Kind of us. . Are we seeing a track line?
Well, I mean...
Yeah.
Can you, what do you think the length of that, if it is anything?
I mean, it's in that 14 to 15 inch, just like those other ones.
Same as before. I don't even know where it came out of. It just kind of, I just saw, yeah.
We followed the impressions as far as the field would allow until the ground simply stopped giving up its answers. The prints were large, 14 to 15 inches, with the stride stretching nearly 4 feet. No clear toes, nothing definitive. Jason remained unconvinced, and on paper, the evidence was inconclusive. But what lingered with me wasn't the size of the foot, it was the length of the stride. Whatever made these marks didn't walk like a man, and out here in places like this, unanswered questions have a way of waiting for you to come back.
Let's see. My grandma told me whenever I was a kid that back in, probably would have been 1962, 1963, somewhere in there, my grandpa, they were still building their house, which is through the field and the trees that way. He was at work and she was there with my dad whenever he was probably 4 or 5 years old, and my uncle whenever he was just a baby. And the story she told me was, you know, it was a day a lot like today, and the kids were outside playing. She was sitting on the porch, and all of a sudden, if I remember correctly, what she told me was she saw a honey bear. That's what she called it. Now, whenever she told me this story originally as a kid, I'm just thinking, oh, Grandma saw a bear. Well, it scared her enough because she said it stood up on 2 legs and started walking. Now, keep in mind, she's a mother. She's got 2 babies right there in the front yard, and this thing's across the road in the field not far from them. So she said she scooped them up, ran into the house, and hid in the closet. As an adult, looking back on that, you see a bear, I mean, you're not gonna go hide in the closet of your house. What really got me though was hearing that term honey bear used again on a couple different Sasquatch podcasts I've listened to in the past. Because whenever they used it and they said that term, that kicked the light bulb off for me about Grandma's story and what she saw. And that would also explain to me why she reacted the way she did, because they hid in that closet until my grandpa got home from work that night.
The story doesn't end with one witness. Other members of the Edwards family carried their own experiences. Some spoken, others quietly held. Amber Edwards has been here long enough to see what this land has done to her husband, to his family, and to herself. Time changes people, but some places do more than that. They leave a mark. And once you've spent enough time here, you begin to realize the land isn't just being observed, it's observing back.
It's almost, I mean, for this area, it's almost inevitable that I mean, it's soaked in blood. Let's be real. The Native Americans had a very violent existence at one point, you know, we all know the story. But, and this place isn't exempt. The Edwards have been here since the 1800s, and I've been coming out here for the last 15 years. And it's just, there's just an energy that you feel, and it's almost layered up due to all of the history here. But when you go really far back, it's very ancient and very like sacred and big. And it's something that like the native did to the land or put on the land or something. I don't know how that would go, but they, you know, they left curses here, there, and everywhere. And you hear about generational curses and just stuff like that. I feel like the land has so much to do with that. And I used a wallpaper metaphor. It's like, you know, 14 layers of wallpaper in a room, you know, you just keep scratching and finding out more and more. But yeah, just, it changed for sure for me personally when I started hearing upticks about these stories and stuff. Because I didn't really hear it or pay much attention at first, other than when Grandma Doris brought it up. So she was one who gave me all that information. So yeah, and she She had other stories too, but she wouldn't talk about them. I, for Mother's Day, wanted to go forage. I'm a weirdo. I love walking around our property and, seeing what we can get. Um, so they brought me out to do that. We were foraging and we came across this bizarre uh, happenings. I don't know what you can call it. Scuffle in the mud in the corner. And in that, you could see these bizarre, huge, it looked like maybe a boot, but just huge, it was just the shape of a foot, but enormous. And then there was a three-toed one that was also bizarrely huge. I really honestly couldn't even believe what I was seeing. I still can't believe that. Those prints are bizarre. I mean, they're bizarre even for cryptid standards. Like,
Tony Gerard is a well-respected biologist, a Bigfoot enthusiast, and a skeptic. He came to the farm not to believe, but to observe. Skepticism doesn't mean dismissal, it means discipline. It's a way to stay honest, to strip emotion from evidence. And when someone trained to question everything takes notice of a place like this, it adds a different kind of weight to what may or may not be happening here.
Well, a large, say, omnivore mammal, are there resources here to support that? Sure. Probably more resources now than there used to be, with all our agriculture and things like that. We've got a lot of woods and things like that here. We got the Shawnee National Forest, Cypress Creek National Wildlife Refuge, Cache River State Natural Area. We got a lot of habitat. But you know what? We don't have any bears. Cougars are just beginning to move back in the area. Wiped out the wolves in the 1870s. Bryce, says he had repeated events at the same time of year here, and that's interesting. I've had a witness one time in Kentucky that told me that he had repeated incidents with something, but he said, it's not here all the time. It's only here right when the blackberries are in bloom. And so that, that's a pretty specific time. That kind of stuff is interesting to me.
Even without belief, Tony remains open to the possibility that if Bigfoot exists, it may be more than just a biological animal. Some questions, after all, don't fit neatly into science, and this land has a way of asking them.
Yeah, I'm a real biologist, but I got to say, to think that we have everything worked out as far as how the universe operates, that's the height of hubris. There's got to still be aspects that we look at that would be, I don't know, like a caveman looking at magnets. There's got to be a lot of stuff we still don't understand about how the universe operates. And this Bigfoot phenomena could be part of that. If you're doing real scientific research, you don't get to start with a conclusion and throw out what doesn't match. If you're actually scientifically investigating a Bigfoot that walked halfway across the field and vanished, is just as legitimate as a Bigfoot that walked across the field. You can't discount the woo. Now, I say that, we have the laws of chemistry and physics, right? And very often there are things of Bigfoot sightings that are paranormal, that don't, that you can't account for with currently as the laws of physics and chemistry as we understand it.
We was cleaning up around here because we had a lot of ice storms and stuff this a lot of just brush everywhere. So I've been doing a lot of burning and things, and I'd usually burn all hours, whatever. But there was one night that I had a good fire going. It's about 3 o'clock in the morning. I heard like a whistle or something, and then just a couple short whistles. I was like, what the heck's that? And I was like, well, what kind of bird makes that sound? You always, but it wasn't an owl. It wasn't anything I could detect. And then a little bit longer, there was one that lasted. It was louder, and it lasted like 4 seconds. For the others, just like a couple seconds. It made a whole lot of, it sounded like it may have even been farther away, but it was louder and lasted a lot longer. And that was, just a different thing for that. But, there also, we have a lot of coyotes out here. They make, all kinds of noise. You can see them during the day sometimes, but mostly just at night. And it was recently a real strange thing. I had a coyote and an owl in the woods here right beside us, probably less than 100 yards. It sounded like they were just sitting side by side and both of them going off at the same time. So I kind of thought maybe somebody's up there with a predator call or some kind of stuff going on, which, guys probably do just stuff that around here. So I grabbed my little spotlight and I kept it off, but I got into the woods a little ways before I ever turned it on. And I did find an owl up in the tree, but I didn't find no sign of anything else over there. But that was just a real strange one there because it was close to the house, but it sounded like they were just sitting beside each other making the noise at the same time. It didn't make a lot of sense, nothing like I'd really heard before. And we've heard like down towards the creek, which is northwest of us. You'll hear stuff down through there. My son and I heard a whoop that one time, just a couple of them. You hear knocks in the woods from time to time. Just things I've never really paid attention to before, which I'm sure they've been here a while, but just, I've got a lot of questions now, so I'm asking. So, so that's where all the, I'm trying to pay more attention to what's going on out here. Because, I don't know, it's just weird. Well, another area right close to where we're sitting now, too, there's a fence row behind me that it's 3 times it's happened that I know of. And just all of a sudden, things will just go silent. I mean, you'll hear just normal things going on around, birds, whatever, but it'll just go like for a cricket, just nothing. And, you're looking around like trying to look for something, see something, but you don't see anything, you don't hear anything, but you don't hear anything. And then all of a sudden, the sound will just kind of start back up, so I'm just wondering what in the heck's going through there, People mention like bobcats, stuff like that, but there's enough of them around that I don't think they would really stop anything because they're pretty much, you can see those when you go to the woods anywhere, so around here now. I just wonder what in the world's causing that one because, a lot of questions.
After days of daylight searches, we knew the answers we were looking for wouldn't come easily. If something was moving through this land, night was when it would feel most at home. We prepared accordingly. Parabolic microphones, night vision cameras, and every tool we had available. The e-bikes were charged too, giving us a quiet way to cover more than 400 acres under the cover of darkness. We weren't just searching for a living creature anymore. We were hoping to experience the high strangeness we'd been told about, the unexplained sounds, the sudden movements, the moments that defy logic. Whatever was happening here had stayed just out of reach, and now, as night fell, we were stepping into the unknown.
Okay, so we were getting ready to film your wife, interview her, and as we pulled out of the driveway, you guys were riding on the back of the truck, and you were facing that way. What was it that you saw?
So me and Russ were sitting there. We pulled out and we started to go down here to go over there. And I'm just looking down the road, and right about where the bridge is, either on the bridge or just right here in front of the bridge, something was standing there on 2 legs. It was black and it was skinny. Now, at first I thought, I was like, is that a person? I asked Russ, I go, is that a person down there? Because there shouldn't be nobody down there. And no, it wasn't a person. And we were just like, well, that's weird. I wish I would have said stop, but
Right, yeah.
you know, it's like
stop. We could have thrown
because it
in
was just like,
reverse.
but it was so weird because it was just standing there, and I mean, it was just like it was watching us going this way.
Right.
And what makes it even more like thinking about it, you know what I mean, is what I saw was in that field right next to where that thing was standing, and it might have even been that thing. It was skinny and it was tall. And I mean, it was right there. And like the one that I saw in the field right there by the creek where this thing was standing just a little while ago, it was skinny, tall, long arms. I mean, I never saw the face because of how it was positioned to where I was on the road driving by it.
Well, had it been a deer, I mean, what are the odds that it would have been like in the road, like
Yeah, I mean,
narrow, like facing you?
Yeah,
Usually they're crossing the road, they
Yeah.
stop and they turn sideways, so you would have saw a broadside view of
yeah,
it.
no, this was, if it was a deer, it was facing this way, and I have no idea why it would.
And deer are fairly narrow bodied too, so I mean,
and I mean, this was tall.
and dark, he said.
Yeah. Hey, my mind's kind of blown at the moment
Yeah,
because
if he'd have thumped on the bedside, we'd have hit the brakes and we'd have been going in reverse.
yeah, I regret not doing that. It's just like one of those things where it's just like you don't expect that.
Mhm.
But just like my sighting, broad daylight.
Right.
It was a little bit after 3 o'clock whenever I had my sighting, and I mean, this was
And we were traveling before it got dark so we could go down there
Mhm.
and get set up. So yeah, I mean, it's not like it was low light. You
No.
had plenty of light to see it.
yeah. And I mean, you know, and I had a person sitting with me too that saw it, so it wasn't just me.
Right.
You know, I actually, because that was the first thing I said, I was like, "Are you seeing that?" You know, and that, yeah, I'm.
Eyes in trees, but I'm guessing those are coons.
So do you think you saw the figure was around here or farther down?
Further down, it was damn near to the bridge, if not on it. Because I'm sitting there and I'm like, no. You know, like I said, the build, color, all that's like, man, that matches what I saw.
right over there.
See two sets of eyes. To the right of it, yeah. The field has always got full of deer.
Go down by the bridge. Let's go closer to the bridge, maybe. You got the double deer right there.
Holy crud.
Dropping down. There's several right
Yeah,
there.
there's one all the way up there in the weeds.
Heard another owl.
You'd think if there was a predator-like creature around here, those deer wouldn't be hanging out here.
On the other hand, could be hunting and they don't know it's here.
Right.
Did you bring your wood knocker?
I did.
Squat. I think the phenomenon appears when the phenomenon wants to appear.
Mm-hmm.
And I want it to be a physical animal. And maybe it's acting like a physical animal, but in other ways it's not. There's definitely something out here. Whether it's a monster or not.
What the hell was that?
back there around those trees.
What'd you see?
I didn't see.
Oh, I know.
Heard
I
it.
heard it. Sounded like something clacking.
Yeah, clacking in the trees. Still doing it.
Or something going across some rocks.
The boots on the ground search started promising, but we didn't get a visual. So we decided to up our game, taking the e-bikes to cover more ground while trying to stay quiet. The plan was to catch something off guard if it was out there. But out in the dark farmland, the quiet wasn't on our side. Every shadow felt alive, every distant sound. It was clear we weren't the hunters anymore. We were the vulnerable ones.
Pine Creek #1 mine.
What's the matter? I saw it for a second, but I don't know where it went.
Right there.
Did you hear that?
Yeah.
What is that?
I don't know. That's a good question. Yeah, I don't know what that is. Might be.
Some kind of critter.
No feet prints in the mud. Holy, that's a snake.
Oh God.
Dragging a fish. Well, that's something you don't see every day.
Why are you coming towards me?
I don't know, but I have now seen it all.
If that's not a sign, I don't know what would be.
To what? Keep on moving?
The first night investigation was promising and also disappointing. No visual confirmation, no clear answers. But we may have heard something, and from that moment on, the atmosphere changed. Unexplained sounds, uneasy silences, a feeling we weren't alone. Then came the final night. What happened next wasn't part of the plan, and it pushed this investigation into a level of high strangeness we weren't prepared for.
I was gonna say, what is... That's not a plane. Is it?
That one just disappeared. And so did that one. There's a cloud up there. You think they went up above the cloud and the cloud's thick enough we can't see them?
I don't know. But Jason just shined that green light a minute ago.
I did. I am using this super bright laser to try to interact with those two lights that we just saw in the sky. I don't think they're planes. I'm not shining them directly at the lights in case it is a plane. There's one now. See it? Can you pick that up on camera? That's a solid light. That is not.
No, I can't pick that up.
But you see it though, right?
Yeah.
It's coming towards us, and it blinked out. We're gonna get abducted. It better not be like that Travis Walton movie, though.
Oh no.
I just got a loud yell.
I heard it.
I thought I heard that over that way, but maybe not. Well, maybe not. I thought I saw another light.
Are you recording?
Yeah,
Okay.
solid red.
There it is.
I see you. I see you too.
Did you see it blink out and blink back over there?
Oh, there's another one down lower.
Is it,
No, because they're, I don't think, I thought usually it was in a row. I mean, that's just coming and going. I don't. Because there's one up there, over there, and down there.
giving me that creeped out feeling?
I just want to know what they are.
Yeah.
There it is again.
Yeah, I was over there filming those lights. Even though I couldn't see them with the naked eye, I picked up 3 of them on the night vision, and you can see the dust flying around it, but you can actually see one of those orbs move over and move over to the other one and blink out. They were showing up on this even though you couldn't see the 3 of them with the naked eye. When you look through the viewfinder, you can see 3 distinct lights, and you'll be able to see it. It moves across, gets close to the other one, and then blinks out.
That's nuts.
I've had so many people that were so sincere and so believable tell me various stories. That's what keeps me intrigued. Back there again, when I was with the BFRO, at one point, I felt that, you know, every time I investigated, I was helping to build up this profile of this unknown primate. But after investigating long enough, I changed that idea, because other than being really big and hairy, there wasn't a lot of consistency within these reports. They varied tremendously, much more than an actual animal would have done if we were describing, I don't know, orangutans or raccoons. Now you could say, well, only a few of those were actually legitimate reports, and the others were people lying or people that were confused about what they saw, but I don't know. I don't think that's the case either.
Yeah, and like I say, another time, I do burn at night to get stuff done and trying to get caught up on things. And we have a train track beside us here that runs over to the mine, and it runs through all hours, day or night. But one night I heard it over there, and you'll hear the train banging around when they're stopping and stuff. But it was blowing its whistle and all that, and you heard the first 2 or 3 or whatever, and then the last one, it didn't sound mechanical. It didn't sound like a regular train whistle. It sounded just more like a Wookiee or something. Just a whirl. It sounded like more just something of a different kind of sound. And since then, I've tried to pay attention to it and everything. And the last blow on the train doesn't sound like the one I heard that night. And that's just something else that, just what, where, why, how, what's doing that? 'Cause it was definitely different than the other I heard. I paid attention to it since then and compared them, and it's just not the same,
Oh man, so first of all, this is totally undermined everywhere. I mean, there's probably tunnels, crisscrossing all over the place. We really don't even know. But the new pipeline they put in was so destructive. I feel like in my spiritual path, it was disrespectful, as does, it, and I feel like, that wasn't good. And we had the vibe changed around here. It really did. And I think that those void spaces and the way that the earth has been manipulated here kind of works as like a beacon or some sort of just portal, maybe in a metaphorical sense or literal, who freaking knows anymore. But that wasn't good. We hate it. We resisted it as much as we could, but.
Well, every so often you look up, you'll see lights in the sky moving. See, white orbs, blue, you'll see red, seen triangles out here. I've seen stuff that it's going one way, you just kind of think, oh, that must just be a satellite or something, and then it stops and it's going this way, and you're like, or not. There's just been a lot of things, and my father and my uncle have experienced things of that nature out here too.
Yeah, what would I say to a sky? I get it. I get that. I was as well. But once you experience any amount of it, any amount of high strangeness, it'll make you a believer really quickly, especially if you're in tune and open to it. Like, no, it's out there. It's like these areas, it's not just here, that's for sure. But there is definitely places on maps you can point to that have high upticks of this kind of thing. It just is what it is. We don't know why, so I feel like the undermining might have something to do with it. I don't know though.
And I mean, I know it's kind of a hot topic right now, but there could be a portal here. I know that there's been EMFs detected, like they're on the EMF detectors that'll spike and everything like that for what should be no reason, because we're out in the woods. We're not around anything electrical. But I mean, there is granite under the ground. There's running water around. So, you know, who knows? It's just, you've got things like that like, you have your sightings, you have your, hard evidence on technology, and just the stories passed down from generation to generation too. And I mean, I don't know. At the very least, you gotta at least be like, huh, that's interesting,
Yeah, I mean, I guess maybe I am more observant now than I used to be about what's happening out here. Just, but like the train whistle that I don't think was a train. Just everything going silent, a bigger roar, and then everything going silent. Just the knocks and the bangs around here. I just like some answers. That's why I've talked to some people about it, because I'm curious. I mean, it's got to be something, because I hear it happening. I don't see anything, of course, but I mean, I hear it happening, and it's, sounds that just aren't, well, here's the train whistle there in the background now. It's just not anything that sounds ordinary, You can just tell that something just sounds different. And I'd like to know what it is.